Every time somebody out there spends $200 to $350 on a new fragrance, one of the clone brands out there does this. Bet. Yeah, go ahead and release another one. Yeah. Just full on chaos goblin mode, copying everything out there. Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're well. Today we're talking 15 new cheap clone fragrances that are so good they commit fragrant homicide. Olfactory homicide. They murder the original. Words are hard. All of these are linked in the description. And we have to start off with this right here, Rayhaan's Terra Bull. Am I right? Oh! You get Terra Bull. Oh!
Oh my sweet Jesus.
This one is a full-on glaze fest. People just standing in a circle glazing donuts, this one. It smells similar to a fragrance you may have heard of called Outlands by Amouage. And of course there is already a very popular Outlands alternative out there called Arabiat Prestige Ramad Oriental. So why am I even talking about this one when maybe I should be talking about the other one? And the other one is fantastic, to be clear. That Arabiat Prestige slaps. Well, yeah, this stuff is actually really freaking good. That's pretty much, that's why, yeah. It is in fact not Terra Bull. And I was waiting to make that joke, boy. As soon as this was announced, I was like, but it is, it's pretty freaking good. Now I gotta say though, it is different than the Arabiat Prestige and it's different than Outlands. So the Arabiat Prestige, that is going to lean more towards like the incense, the aromatic side of things. It has more of a noticeable elemi note, things like that. So it's gonna hit you with more of that Middle Eastern kind of flair. This one instead takes a slightly different path. It cleans up the aromatics a little bit, it keeps it smoother, and it has more of an introduced sweetness to me. So you're gonna get more of an ambery scent profile, more vanilla coming through. And it's almost like you took Outlands and mixed it with the tiniest bit of something like Creed's Centaurus. And I actually haven't even bothered to look up the note breakdown on this one. I probably should have done that. But basically you could think of this like Outlands with a toned down incensey feel, a ramped up sweetness, a little bit smoother, almost a light tobacco kind of scent profile in the background. And the stuff rips. It smells awesome. It's like the perfect twist to have been done to an Outland style fragrance. The stuff is top freaking notch. Fall and winter time, absolutely killer. This is probably now the new best thing that Rayhaan has done, which is kind of annoying because I filmed a video like a few days ago that had Pacific Aura in it. And I was like, this is the best thing that Rayhaan has done. That's before I got this in the mail. Ever since I got this in the mail, I've been wearing it. Yes. Keeping the theme of being an immature small child, the next one is FOMO Frag Lover's Tea Bag. They should have called it that, that's all I'm saying. Frag Lover's Tea Bag. All the old school Halo players out there like, I know what he's talking about. So yeah, Frag Lover's Tea by FOMO. They have a few, actually 4 new fragrances that have just come out. I have those on order, but they are not here yet. This one right here smells like the discontinued masterpiece Gucci Pour Homme 2, which yes, was a tea fragrance and one of the best designer ones out there. And as always seems to be the case, it used to be cheap. Yeah, it used to be like $45 from discounters. If I could find Gucci Pour Homme 2 for $45 nowadays, I'd buy like 20 bottles. Maybe not 20, that's a little overkill, but I'd buy a few. This stuff is calming, it's lightly sweet, super classy, very easy to wear. Actually one of the best spring fragrances ever, the original, and because this smells so similar to it, that means this is as well. Frag Lover's Tea, top-notch stuff. Frag Lover's Tea. The next one is this from Australia, Tonka Gold. Tonka Gold. Now the presentation here, not telling you a whole heck of a lot. It looks okay. The cap is not great, super lightweight, doesn't really click into place very securely or anything. Atomizer is top notch, so that's good. I bought a whole bunch of different Australia clones. I gotta tell you really quickly, Timeless Einstein, or Einstein Timeless. Timeless Einstein. That one, you don't wanna get, okay? It's like old Grandma Rose. You'll smell like potpourri, you don't need it.
Have you ever seen such cruelty?
This right here is Angel's Share. And it's a really good one, but it is kind of joining a crowded field. And I have to say, if you already have a different clone of that fragrance or in that style. You know, something like Kamra, for example, or any of the Royal Blend fragrances or Zamaya's Sharaf Blend, something like that. You don't need this. It doesn't do anything really different than those, but it is an extremely well done fragrance in that style. Smells amazing, of course. Huge compliment puller like you would expect. So I just wanted to highlight yet another entry in that crowded field right here. If you can pick this up for a good price, it is absolutely amazing, but it is redundant, like I said, if you own the other stuff. Now check this one out right here. This is Metropolis Masterpiece. This one is dirt cheap. It was one of those ones where I just legitimately tossed it into my cart on JOMASHOP because I was like, pretty sure I know what that is. And you can kind of tell by the color scheme, the name, and the shape. Bond number 9 is what I'm trying to get at, but I was not exactly sure which Bond number 9 until I got it in. This is in that vibe of scent of peace for him. And I know it looks bad. This does not look great. The cap, oh, just awful. Just the whole presentation screams dollar store. But in actuality, when you spray this on for the price point, because I think this was like sub $20, it's right around there, it's actually really solid. Now it's not as good as like this one or this one, but for about 20 bones, you can wear this pretty much whenever you want. And I guess it's technically part of Emper, E-M-P-E-R, as the sticker on the bottom says. I bought a few fragrances that they had done, and this was one of the best. So scent of peace for him right there. And what's strange is I feel like that fragrance should have multiple versions out already from like all the big houses. Now I know that Bond number 9 is not maybe like the sexiest go-to niche house nowadays for like making dupes or whatever. But they had some bangers, man. New Harlem, Scent of Peace for Him, Bleecker Street, stuff like that. And there are far fewer high-end clones of those fragrances available than you would expect. High-end clones, is that a thing? Well, I guess technically, right? Because Joe Milano's out here charging $52,000 per bottle.
Is the doctor around? Because we have a burn victim here.
Shout out Joe Milano, get your money, yeah. The next fragrance is one you want to know about. It's pretty good. Before we hit that though, if you're on TikTok, follow me at Gents. Thank you, love you. And if you shop online for fragrances, which you should not be paying full retail, use these codes to save yourself some cash. Gift Express, got a code. JOMASHOP, got some codes. Perfume Box, got a code. Lucky Scent, got a code. Bunch of codes. Let's go next with this right here. This is all Barari Coral. It has a handy dandy little leather thing. You can hang it from something probably. You could do that if you wanted. You use it as decoration, hang it up around the house. And then you just walk by, pull down like that, spray it, put it back. They thought of everything. So this little dilly-dally right here, it looks maybe not the most expensive, but it's actually quite nice in typical Zamaya fashion. It is a blend of sorts, a little bit of a reimagining of an existing fragrance. So essentially take Blue Talisman and then mix it with a little bit of God of Fire, which makes sense. Yes, it does. And this is something that I've talked about a little bit in the past. I'll talk about it again very quickly. Brands, do more of that. Like, no offense to Australia, obviously they're like a newer house and this is, again, very well done, but maybe carve like a different path, you know? If there are 30 different Angel Share Kamra type fragrances out there, say, okay, we can do that, but let's approach it in a slightly different way. Let's like put enough of a twist on it that it's something completely unique to us. Or do a combining of fragrances, say Leighton and Angel Share, put them together, boom. Now you can say, look what we put out here. This is different. This is a hybrid. And when you say that, you do have to do that with your voice. Hybrid. I'm just spitballing, but to me, that sounds like a better idea. You guys let me know what you think, but I think if they came out with something and said, look, here's Leighton plus Angel Share put together, we took the best parts of each fragrance and made a new thing that's completely ours, that would probably get people more excited than going, here is another Kamra type fragrance, right? At least that's what I think. So that's what this one is, Blue Talisman plus God of Fire with more of a Blue Talisman lean. It is absolutely more of that type of scent. It's just they've kind of softened the edges a little bit and added some additional sweetness in the style of God of Fire. Armaf up next, Odyssey Homme. Yes, just the Odyssey Homme and the black bottle. Very plain compared to the other Odysseys nowadays. Because all the new ones, they have like different special editions. Every single one of them is like this edition, that edition. And they usually come with like a little pleather case that they sit down inside of. This one just plain. But just because it's plain does not mean it's bad. This guy smells very similar to a fragrance you may have heard of called Tom Ford's Noir Extreme. And I'll say that's a pretty difficult fragrance to clone. It's quite unique. You know, it's doing its own thing. It is an expensive fragrance. It smells expensive. And as far as affordable cheapies, this is probably your best bet at getting something that is, you know, 20% the cost of the Tom Ford, but 85% of the way there as far as the fragrance goes. It's classy, it's different, it's very well done for fall and winter time, and flies a little under the radar compared to most of the other Odysseys, at least nowadays. Let's go next with this. This is Royal Blend Sequoia, which is a clone of Angel Share Paradise. And this is another thing that I find kind of interesting. There are so many different Angel Share Paradise clones out there, which is not a bad thing. It's good to have choice. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But I feel like maybe there's not quite as much demand for Angel Share Paradise alternatives or Angel Share on the Rocks alternatives. There are definitely people who want them. I'm not saying that there's not. But I just feel like the original Angel Share hit really hard, and then the flankers that came afterwards, people were like, okay. Again, not that there's zero interest, it's just you can kind of tell that they haven't hit the zeitgeist the same way that the original Angel Share did. Now, one word of caution with this fragrance, when I first got this stuff in, it was weak. It was one of those fragrances where you spray it on and you're like, oh, that's okay. Like, it doesn't really have a big push off the top, and then it just feels like it disappears into nothingness, like a ghost fragrance. It's kind of how this one was, just not very impressive. And of probably any French Avenue fragrance that I own, this is the one that took the longest to get me to go, okay, now it has a little something. Like, it just felt flat for a long time. Now it smells great. Now it's very nice. It's not like a monster screamer as far as projection goes, but it's good. And I can pick it up through the day and it lasts and it smells deeper now, has a nice richness to it and quite similar to Paradise. But yeah, the first, wow, man, this one was just... So be aware, if you get this in, you spray it on and you're thinking, oh, this stuff is just like, there's nothing to it. You're gonna have to do that deal, man. Gonna have to just let it sit for like months, yeah. And when you come back to it, it'll be better, you know? It's one of those deals. Wait a little bit, gets a lot better. Marwa by Rabiat Prestige up next. Bit of a hype beast, this one, yep. It is Imagination by Louis Vuitton, which also a hype beast. It does have an amazing atomizer. So good. Look at that. Oh no, Craig, no! It's the whole table getting covered with little Marwa particles. Tell you what, guys, Craig the table is battle scarred. There are so many little dents here where I've dropped bottles on this table.
You know how much I sacrificed?
This is fantastic for everyday use. It is a big compliment puller, better suited maybe for spring, summer, but because of how Imagination is made, you can pretty much wear it whenever you want. And by that, I mean, it's just made for mass appeal, right? Like a clean, citrusy kind of vibe. Hype beast, but worth it. Let's go with another silver one here, just so they're kind of hanging out together. This is Fakar's Platine by Lattafa. Sort of a Y elixir with a twist kind of vibe. Gives you a different type of opening, a slightly different opening. And that's because this introduces guava, so you have this, you know, different kind of tropical take on the Y elixir DNA, really nice freshness, and of course has that somewhat clean clothing-esque vibe to it as well. And really what makes this such a good buy, comparatively speaking, is Y elixir is expensive. To be fair, a lot of fragrances nowadays, designer, niche, whatever, very expensive. Like the new Myself Absolute, if you want a 100 ml bottle of that at full retail, you're gonna like $200 plus. And Y elixir is right up there as well. So when you can get this for so much cheaper, it becomes a much more attractive buy. Another Rayhaan, this one is Aquatica. Yes, Aquatica. And this one makes sense when you think about it. It is Virgin Island water, and yes, look at that. All the silver bottles over here lined up, looking reflective. As I said, Virgin Island water. At one point in time, years ago, many years ago, Virgin Island water was the hotness. Everybody wanted it for summer. But in typical Creed fashion, it was expensive, which is, it still is expensive. And everybody wore Set Sail St. Bart's by Tommy Bahama. That was like the go-to. I had it, I wore it for that reason, even though I owned Virgin Island water, because Set Sail St. Bart's was cheap, easy to find. At the time, it was available at every single TJ Maxx and TK Maxx in the world. And even though St. Bart's wasn't turbo close to Virgin Island water. It got you close enough. And over the years, you would have thought that all of these different companies would have been coming out with Virgin Island water dupes, just out the nose. But for the most part, they really didn't. At least nowhere near like what you've seen from Aventus style fragrances, for example. And I'll tell you guys, Aquatica absolutely crushes. It gets that Virgin Island water vibe down pat. That like lightly boozy, salty, fruit tinged tropical vibe. Absolutely perfectly done. Great for spring and summer, which is very useful right now heading into winter. But coming back around to when it gets warm again in the Northern Hemisphere, this stuff has an amazing throwback vibe for me that I love. It reminds me of back in the day, pre-Parfums de Marly, when Creed was like the #1 go-to niche house for people that wanted something wearable that was still niche. Easily wearable, I should say. Now this is kind of cheating. This is Celerio Epic. This is by Gourmand, and it's also an angel share type fragrance. So just like this one over here, but this is usually a little more expensive. So if you wanted to save like the most amount of money, this wouldn't be the choice. But if you want what is quite possibly the straight up best type of fragrance or type of angel share fragrance, this. It smells rich, it smells higher end than most every other one out there. The performance is banging, and it's not quite as sickly sweet. It still has that sweetness. Don't get me wrong, it wouldn't be that type of fragrance if it didn't. It's just the way this one works together, almost like lightly honeyed with the spices and everything else coming through. It really smells amazing. Then we got this one, Shiyaaka Regal. This is also by Zamaya. And if you knew nothing about this, you might see it and think the same thing that I initially thought as well, which is, oh, look at that color. It's probably what, Le Beau or Paradise Garden or something like that. You know, because it's green. That makes sense. But this is, in fact, another entry in the God of Fire arena. It's like God of War, but God of Fire. So you're gonna get hit with that mango off the top, which is the calling card of that fragrance style. Then you have a little more of that woodiness that comes out here as it dries down. Not gonna be quite as icy or brisk as some of the other fragrances in that style, but it's a pretty well done, balanced take on the God of Fire DNA. And if you can find it for that low, low price, it is absolutely worth picking up. Fragrance World, Cafe and Cream. Now they also have Tobacco and Coke, which that name makes me laugh. And Tobacco and Coke is more like Tobacco Vanille with a little tiny bit of Tonka Cola mixed in. This is more Amore Cafe. It is sweet, like decadently sweet, very much like an over-sugared cup of coffee. A nice syrupy aspect to it, actually surprisingly good quality. An absolute banger for fall and winter time. Don't be surprised if your girlfriend or wife or daughter steals it. Amazonas Drift. This one is Australia as well, and this smells like Sauvage Elixir. Kind of a nice presentation as well. I think that this is a stock bottle, but the way that it's done is really nice. It has like a little mountain down there at the bottom. So as I said, this one is like Sauvage Elixir, maybe not quite as heavy on the woody aspects. It still has that in there, that spicy woodiness, kind of a licorice type vibe, but ever so slightly reined in. Maybe like you could think of it as Sauvage Elixir made slightly more palatable for everyday wear. And quality of the fragrance itself is actually really good. And we will finish with Shiyaaka Snow by Codlage. I've always thought that these bottles looked about as cheap as you could possibly look, but somehow this one with the frosted glass and like the white color scheme, maybe slightly better? Maybe we bump it from like a 3 to a 4.5? I don't know. Let me know. It is similar to a Louis Vuitton, go figure. Nobody has ever heard that before from a cologne fragrance. It smells like Louis Vuitton. But this one is not imagination, it is Meteor. And that's the correct way to say that. That's how you have to do that. This one is very fresh, citrusy, brisk, icy. Makes sense, I guess it's called snow. And you could also say perhaps a little bit of a shower gel type vibe to it. I know a lot of people will be like, well, no fragrance actually smells like shower gel, which fair enough. But it's just that overall vibe, you know, that feeling of you get out of the shower, you spray this on, and you just kind of take like that cleanliness from the shower with you. That's kind of the vibe. And in spite of maybe how basic to an extent this presentation looks, and one of the main reasons I say that is there are a lot of fragrances that I've seen over the years from like absolute no-name brands that use this exact same bottle style that you'll find at TJ Maxx and Ross's with this sticker slapped on the back that says $9.99. So it's just kind of one of those deals where you see that over and over and over, and then you see it here on Codlage and you're like, okay. But in spite of that, this stuff actually surprisingly extremely good quality, especially for the price. There we go. 15 different fragrances, most of them newer, that absolutely crush, especially this new Rayhaan. Like this one, Terra, is insanely good. It is an unholy glaze fest with that, but it is one of those deals where you smell it and go, pretty good though. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.